My reflection today will have words intertwined with musical lyrics written by one of my favorite artists, Mary Chapin Carpenter. A singer-songwriter and an LGBTQIA plus ally, the song It Don't Bring You really spoke to me this year as I was preparing for today's Pride service. Well, I know it ain't been roses lately, baby, it's just been thorns. And no matter what we do, nothing seems to change. Love has always been my shelter. For you, it's been a storm. But for a while, I thought we'd almost beat the rain. Now there's a hole here in my pocket where all my dreams have gone, falling out like so many nickels and dimes. And last of all, you. You'd always been my good luck charm. I should have known that luck, it was a waste of time. But he has a goatee, was what my best friend's cousin said to him when Joel told him to stop saying, "That's gay," because my best friend is. As a cisgender white male, I cannot say that I've ever experienced too much hate, harassment, or even worse, fear in the home, which should be the one of our most sacred and safest places. I was a student athlete, an honor student, a scout, a singer. Something simply, in reality, finally changed as I got older in high school. The summer after I turned 16, I was on staff at my Boy Scout camp and was invited by one of the youth troop leaders to be a guest at dinner in their campsite. It would be his assistant that'd be a love at first sight situation that I didn't expect. Friendship, mutual admiration, and a night watching a baseball game of all things that next spring led to that first kiss. In our first reading today, A Protest or a Party, I hope that we forever cherish the collective beauty and innocence of the human experience. In our faith, we speak of every child being holy, while those that speak against our queer community continue to cling to their outdated notions of gender and very unhealthy understanding of sexuality. Days like yesterday, at our own Pride in the Park for the Chippewa Valley, our UU congregation was there to show that we will stand up to queerphobia, we will celebrate those that are their authentic selves, and we'll be supportive to those that are still seeking it. And we will continue to put in the work, ensuring that we are eternally a safe space. Because it don't bring you love if you don't love, and it don't bring you time if you ain't got time. And it don't bring you strength, baby, if you ain't got strength. And it don't bring you kindness if you ain't kind. In my adulthood, before the next generations were told it gets better, we fought and lost our fight for a fair Wisconsin, the despicable state constitutional amendment that we got after success that remains in place today. We survived the Bush and Rove political years. We were able to march against the federal don't ask, don't tell military service policy. And we gained some favorable executive orders for protections. And then finally, we were able to get our day in court for marriage equality. Maybe we thought we were safer momentarily. We were not. The response to our decades and heartaches and success in Stonewall have been responded to with the rise of white nationalism, return to book bans, the continued chipping away of our protections, including employment, and the blatant attack on the most vulnerable part of our community by denying dynamic health care, personal dignity, and opportunity to those that identify as transgender. In our second reading today, Still Queer in America, and that's the one that wrecked me for the day, I couldn't help but thinking about my own experience as I continued through college into my adulthood. Coming of age post the AIDS crisis and the killing of Matthew Shepard, and the subsequent God Hates Fags campaign by the Westboro Baptist Church. Many of you know that I was the president of the LGBTSA when I attended UW-Eau Claire. It is overwhelming to remember that all that we offered for programming as a more social and activist organization versus the professional departments of today. My mission was to advocate and educate, and this is something that was definitely born in me in those days. We hosted events such as our National Coming Out Day, World AIDS Day, Transgender Awareness Day, and the Alternative Prom. We offered panel discussions to English, sociology, and psychology classes, short film sessions, and annual amateur drag shows. Simultaneously, I spent my term as the LGBT chair of the Student Senate Life and Diversity Commission, focusing primarily on securing gender-neutral bathrooms for the former Davies Center. It also would be the time and place that I found the love of my life. I snuck this in, you didn't even know. My prince, my Ryan. He has been an active partner in supporting my years of service to the Chippewa Valley LGBT Community Center, being active citizens together in our community, and in my own UU adventures these past chapters of my life. We will continue to go hand in hand with you all. It will always be better than to walk alone in fear. Now, there's a whole lot of life to be unsure of, but there's one thing I can safely say I know, that of all the things that finally desert us, pride is always the last thing to go. But it won't bring you love if you don't love, and it won't bring you time if you ain't got time, and it won't bring you strength if you ain't strong, and it won't bring you kindness if you ain't kind. And our third and final reading today, which I thought was the most beautiful. All that shimmers, respect, representation, and visibility matter. I'm always in the wings ready to be a friend. I might not wear a beautiful tail, sport a delightful eclectic outfit, or frequently challenge my own gender norms with something absolutely fabulous, but I will always cheer y'all on. In my professional life as a leader, I choose to not hold back my identity, and many of my team members over the years have shown gratitude. For me, just being myself, this has allowed them to be more comfortable and secure in their own lives. In public, the joy we see when others knowing we are one of us, maybe it's just that moment, that tiny engagement in a day can bring happiness into a world where who we love, how we live, how we play, how we speak, how we worship, and how we dress continues to be revolutionary. And now I wish you only roses without the thorns, and I hope your dreams are always within reach. And I wish you shelter from all your storms. They scared you, they never seemed to teach. That I can't bring you love if you don't love, and I can't bring you time if you ain't got time, and I can't bring you strength if you ain't strong, and I can't bring you kindness if you ain't kind, and I can't bring you kindness if you aren't kind.
So I'm from the South, so I'll say Happy Pride, all y'all. All y'all, it's a gender neutral welcome. I'm proud to be celebrating with you. UU Minister Reverend Victoria Safford wrote, people ask me sometimes, is this a gay church? Yeah, it's a privilege to answer. Ours is absolutely, gladly, hopefully, gaily a gay church, a gay tradition, where everyone, including heterosexual members and friends, is welcome, where everyone is needed, where everyone's experience is cherished as sacred text. Because no one's experience of living or loving can be comprehensive, because each of us holds the clues to the other's need about how to live with dignity and joy as a human person. And none of us knows enough about about that yet to be considered whole. It is absolutely a gay church, even as ours is a gay world. If you would look around, gay church, straight church, people's church, a human congregation made holy by the holy hopes and fears and dreams of all those who wish to come. Come in, we say. Come out, come in. We're all in this together. I love this reading. I love being in a congregation where I don't have to check my morals at the door, where I can truly be all of the minister that I want to be, where I can watch people be wholly who they are. And yesterday at Pride was just, again, a yearly affirmation about how a theology of rejecting the idea of original sin, a theology of knowing that everyone is holy and sacred and has dignity. We did glitter blessings yesterday, and this was biodegradable glitter, very important. And we also had the option of bubble blessings. And we had little cards that were made by Amy and little stickers that were made by Chris. And what we did is we said, we said, all of you is holy. And I want you just to close your eyes and just imagine yourself getting this blessing. All of you is holy, all of you is beautiful, and all of you is loved. And people were just crying, and their faces were just looking up, and the glitter was coming down around their face, and there was just transcendent joy. And the fact that it just takes a little bit of glitter and a lot of love to do this in the community, this is powerful. And I just want to make a world where everybody knows that, and where we all say that. And so if there is any mission of this congregation, I say, let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. Dancing queen. So that is the power of love. And, watching people dress up. And recently we had maybe it's my last chance to watch one of my own children at queer prom. My oldest went to queer prom this year, and all of their friends running around in their flags and having a joyous time, not worrying about gender norms or who's leading who on the dance floor or whatever, and just having transcendent joy. And what a great world we can make this. And thinking about how we got here. In the early 90s, when I was a high school student at Irmo High School in Irmo, South Carolina, we had very few out students. They would be beat up. And David was someone who was in my English class. And I remember he wore a dress to school, and I thought, man, that takes a lot of bravery to wear a dress to school. And the football team beat him up in the parking lot. It was definitely not a safe space. So the queer kids hid in choir, and the theater folks had a space to have more welcoming spaces, but it was not a rainbow flag waving town, high school, or even my church. I really, myself, did not discover that I was attracted to all genders or both genders until college. And it was deeply ingrained in me that this was not even a choice. I was supposed to find my Mr. Right, get my perfect life, and let alone thought to identify myself from a church pulpit in a straight marriage as someone who is also queer. And we think about the many ways in which we are fully who we are. We're intersectional beings. We are people who knit. We are people who may not identify as female or male. We might identify as gender neutral or fluid. And so much beauty in this world about who we are and who we are becoming. And then to see that welcomed and celebrated in sacred space is everything. It's everything. And, I want to celebrate that somebody's toddler just learned how to use the potty. I want to celebrate that kids graduated from high school that we thought might not graduate. All of these things in this space. And so in recent years, more people have been willing to identify under the LGBTQ plus umbrella than ever before. A recent Gallup poll notes how 7.1% of US adults identify as something other than heterosexual, which is double that in 2012. The poll also notes that 21% of Generation Z adults born between 1997 and 2003 identify as LGBTQ+. And so we think about who paved the way. Marsha P. Johnson was born in 1945. She was a drag queen, activist, co-founder of STAR, and she uses older language, but this was a quote from her in 1977. She said, "If a transvestite doesn't say I'm gay and I'm proud and I'm a transvestite, then nobody else is gonna hop up there and say I'm gay and I'm proud and I'm a transvestite for them." She said that in 1972. And she was credited as the queen who threw a shot glass and exclaimed, "I've got my civil rights," during the Stonewall Uprising. Along with her friend Sylvia Riviera, they created the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries. And this was in earlier times. She served as a drag mother, providing food, clothing, and family to young drag queens, trans women, and queer youth. And among the many famous posthumous accolades, Johnson will be among the first transgender person to receive a statue in their honor. In August 2020, New York State renamed East River State Park in her name, the first transgender person to receive such an honor in our nation. And I also want to lift up Barbara Gings, who was an activist. She worked to make sure that the notion that queerness is a mental health diagnosis was struck from the books. And in 1972, she paneled a discussion with the American Psychiatric Association on homosexuality. The meeting led to the APA to remove homosexuality as a mental disorder, and that particular diagnosis did so much harm. And so as we think about the people who continually are brave and say, "This is who I am," and whether we're straight, gay, or whatever our identities, and we voice our opinions, we try and be brave, have brave spaces, it makes a difference. It makes a difference to be allies. And so I encourage you to look up Trevor Project if you haven't before. Trevor Project has so much information on coming out and the history of LGBTQ+ persons. Also the Human Rights Campaign. And I'm gonna close with this, this reading, Long May They Wave. I want you to think about a picture of a flagpole bent at a 90-degree angle, small scraps of fabric frayed along the edges, and it snapped being back, and I'm reading it from the voice of the reader, Christy Cardinal. It snapped me back to reality, the reality where our state governments are attacking trans folks and their family, the reality where Supreme Court is restricting our reproductive rights, the reality where so many things are contributing to the collective trauma. I was at General Assembly, 2,500 miles away from home, wrapped in love of colleagues and congregants. My partner, Jay, was in Michigan, taking care of my feline overlords. He sent me pictures of the reality back home. Someone had yanked the Progress Pride flag down from our home, the house where our kids live. Tears stung my eyes and fear filled my body. I shared on social media what had happened, and almost immediately, a straight friend sent me a message offering to replace the flag. I said, yes. She told me when to expect it. Jay rehung the flag, which seemed bigger this time. and then I came home and I held the flagpole and I saw that it was torn. And this time I had hot rage. Someone had destroyed the flag again, so I shared on social media again. And this was not just vandalism, this was violence. So someone suggested that I fill my yard and cover my house in pride flags. And I said, yes. I made an online wish list for various flags and shared those as well. 2 days later, I came home from the office and there was a stack of packages on my porch. And so I had come down with COVID that day and I thought that they had to wait, but an army of lovers came and stood up all the flags in my yard. And as I watched from my front door, tears of joy filled my eyes as I saw the brightly colored compassion waving in the wind. And she writes, queer resistance is joy. Queer joy is resistance. And so when we wave our flags, when we show our love, when we show up on people's porches, that makes a difference. And so thank you all for being such an authentic space of love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope will guide us along the way. Andy's fixing it for me. Love will guide us. Thank you.